Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Ferrum Wrestling 411. I'm your host Gary Holden. With me today, Head Wrestling Coach Nate Yetzer. You're all used to having him on here. Our first time having Zack Beckner. Zach, welcome.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Zach, I want to get right to it. Tell us a little bit about the NCAA tournament. Big moment for you, freshman. You've been wrestling for a semester, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a national spotlight of competing for a national championship. Talk a little bit about the whole experience for us.
Well, first off, since I told you I was going to do it, I want to thank my mom and everything, because I wouldn't be where I am without her, with all the tournaments she's taken me to and everything, and all the training I've been able to achieve because of her. So I love you, Mom. But back to the point, the NCAA tournament was it was insane. Since December, when I was first deciding whether or not to come here, that was all that was on my head, is getting into the NCAA tournament and beating one of the top 10 ranked guys. I remember Yetzer had sent me a text, and he was like, "That's what you're shooting for." And then I just I'm a wrestling bookworm. I just would start stalking them, all the kids and stuff.
Top kids, yeah.
Yeah, and so that's who I was aiming for, and I knew exactly what I was walking into at regionals, being an underdog, and then hitting the 2 seed right off the bat at nationals and everything. I knew what I was in store for, and I knew that I had the skill set to pull it off. I just had to execute, and it was awesome though. I don't know.
Going into the regionals and everything, you were still very, untested. You did beat a couple of good kids. You beat the number 2 kid out of a Division II school in the finals of the Virginia Duels.
That's true.
That was a big win for you right there. But going into the regionals, really, Zack Beckner wasn't a household name. A lot of people had not heard about you. You ran into Chris Tan. I can't remember what school it was from. Sinus in the semifinals. That was a big win. You beat him like 12-1. That had to be kind of put some people on notice that, okay, you just beat the number 3 or 4 or 5 kid in the nation and beat him handily, and then you win in the finals over another ranked kid. That had to be kind of, going into the nationals, that had to give you the understanding that, you know what, I do belong here.
Yeah, I remember at regionals, in my first match, I walked out there, and I'm always a different person when I'm getting ready to wrestle. It's I look like I'm a maniac. And so I was getting ready and warmed up, and I remember he almost headlocked me. And I just remember getting really mad. And after that first match or whatever, I hit a kid from Stevens who was ranked as a contender or whatever, and he had went to the NCAAs last year. Mm-hmm. And so I was pretty nervous before that match, and then I ended up getting a major win there, and then so I was more confident heading into the semis there, and then I hit Tan with we were pretty scoreless there in the first period, but I caught him on his back. So then the rest of the match, I kind of just dictated the pace. And after I beat him, I was like, I need to win this regional title. And then I was lucky enough to win the regional title, and I was like, all right, now I got to prove my name at nationals.
Well, you start to finish at that regional tournament, and everything was really big for you. You scored our first points. You were the first guy on the mat. You scored a pin for us and everything. That put us in the lead. And really, we never relinquished the lead, if I'm not mistaken. And then at the end, you scored a win in the finals. So your wins at the beginning and the end really kind of helped put Ferrum over the top to win that regional title. And that has to mean a lot to you, knowing that you were able to come in and contribute to your team right away.
Yeah, definitely. All the guys in here, one thing about Ferrum Wrestling that I really liked ever since I first visited here in June of last year is that whenever they're in here or they're on the mat, the guys are always ready to work. And I know that we wanted to beat Stevens and stuff. Coach kept telling us that before the regional tournament that we were right there. It's just getting over that next hump. And we just started the tournament out on fire because we just pinned everyone at every weight. So we had a really good first round. And
I think you had 6 or 7 pins in that first round. Yep.
Won the first 12 or 13 matches in a row, and just off to a good start. So
that's what I'm saying, leading start to finish. And I don't think at any point in time going into the finals, I don't think anybody really had we would have had to lose all our matches, and somebody else behind us would have had to win all theirs and pin all theirs to be able to.
Yep, exactly.
And that makes us savor it even more that we didn't we kind of blow them out the second?
Yeah,
we won by 30, didn't we?
Yeah, we won by a lot. Yeah.
So it was just it's good to savor it because nobody expected Ferrum to win the regional title.
Sure.
They were all talking about Stevens again and everything. And it's also bittersweet in a sense. We won the regional title, and then our national tournament doesn't. I don't think our national tournament finishing shows as good as we are.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited for next year, because I know that all the guys are trying to get to the national tournament as well and get up on that podium just as well. And with the group that we have, I don't see why we can't do it.
Nate, talk a little bit about the fact that you got 3, and that's another first for you in the program. You had, first regional title, first time you put 3 in the NCAA tournament. Last year you did it with Logan Meister and Paul Biggs, who's now an assistant coach for you. He's running the camera for us right now. Thanks, Paul. And then this year getting 3 in, another big first for you. But you and I have talked about this in the past, and you really feel as though, or do you still feel as though there's going to come a time when we're not just going to slip a couple in there, we're going to kick the wall down and send a bunch?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this year was a big step toward that, getting multiple guys in, and then we did last year as well. But I think, regionals was awesome, and that was kind of the first step where I saw us 5 years into the program, and then now it's about getting a trophy to the national tournament. I think, and we have the talent and the team to do it. Now it's a matter of going out there and obviously you gotta get more than 3 guys though, and I think that's the next step, to punch more guys through. And we had 4 other guys really close. We had 4 guys placed fourth. Obviously one more step, and they would have been in the national tournament, and help us score points. Sure. I thought we were in one of the better regionals, so I think they would have done better at nationals. But it is what it is. And this year, the goal is not only to win regionals, but it's also to be a top 4 team in nationals. And we definitely have the ability and the talent to do it. We just gotta. We have a couple weights up in the air. We got to kind of figure out and get guys at the right weight. And you could kind of see it coming together last year, especially second semester. We started getting on a roll a little bit. The guys started believing in themselves. And obviously the addition of Zach and Tay, second semester really helped us a lot too. Sure. We kind of injected a little more. Zach's a freshman, but he's a seasoned freshman too. He's been around, and the national tournament was no big deal because he's been to big competitions before. You know what I mean? And Tavian, the same thing. So I think having those guys on board second semester really helped us out. And then, the talent that we had in the room, the guys started believing in each other, started leaning on each other. Sure. And I think, that's why I won the regional title. And I've got to do it again next year and punch even more guys through. So
one of the things that I appreciated the most at the regionals was the fact that when you guys were there, it was loud. Yep. And it wasn't just loud moms and dads and uncles and aunts. It was loud with guys that were not wrestling in the tournament. Your second and third and fourth and fifth string guys. They were out there just, in force and lining the edge of the mats. I know a couple times referees had to ask us to move some of the Ferrum guys back from the edge of the mat and everything. But what a great problem to have is that your guys that are not even wrestling in the tournament are there just being extremely loud and supportive of the guys that are on the mat.
Absolutely. We've grown as a team. I think it's important. Everybody, I think one thing different than any other year that we've had here is everybody knows their role on this team. There's only 10 starters, you know what I mean? So the other 20 guys, you have to have a role on this team, and you have to accept it and embrace that role, And I think our guys have done a good job of that for the most part. There's been some guys who maybe you're still kind of wandering and trying to find the role, but I think that was the big part of it. So
usually with younger guys, that's the case. Is that once they get to a spot where they kind of know where their role is, how they help the team and everything. Usually those guys kind of fall in line and they really start to make some help. Because let's face it, you didn't just win it with the 10 guys that are out there on the mat. You won it with all those guys that were around the edge of the mat watching, that were at practice, living, breathing, dying, sweating in practice and everything.
Staff,
making, all the guys that you wrestle with in practice, Zach, have had to have helped make you better, the coaches and everything.
Yeah, definitely. I know that when I first came here and first started practicing, that I was getting my butt whooped, honestly, by everybody when I first got in here. And so it was a process just getting back in shape and everything. And then even as I got back more in shape and got back in the groove of wrestling and everything, the guys are always pushing each other in here. And that's what I can wrestle with Bailey Cooper at 125, or I can wrestle with Coach, and it's going to still be the same amount of energy expended, because even if I'm going up and I'm wrestling someone bigger, then they're not going to use all of their strength and everything. So we're both working, and I don't know. I really, like I said, or I've said multiple times now, I really just like the work ethic when we come in here, and we can start off goofy with a game of dodgeball, but once we start warming up and getting ready to go, we're ready to rock. So
all bets are off. So you probably have to go easy a little bit on Coach Yetzer, right?
Yes. Yeah.
A little bit.
I hip tossed him one time.
Zach, what are your plans for the summertime? What do you got planned for the summer? You doing something? You going back to work up in Northern Virginia?
Yeah. I can't wait to get back home. Honestly, I miss my cats. But I'll be doing a lot of summer like clinics and stuff for a bunch of people that I wrestled for up in Nova, and so also to help me have money to save for when I come back next year. Yeah, I'm just gonna be working pretty much and training some of the kids back home and stuff, and then training with my buddy who hopefully is gonna be coming down here next year, and hopefully putting some muscle on my body.
Good.
That would be nice.
Tell me what you're majoring in, Zach.
I'm pretty sure it's set. Yeah. I want to major in media and mass media and communications.
Good.
And then I want to have a minor in journalism, because that can set me up for like going into some type of broadcasting or like writing for different things and stuff. And I want to move to the city really bad. So I feel like that'll help me get a job in the city.
Over the course of the summer, you and I should talk about maybe you coming on and helping us out with this show right here. This will be a good experience for you.
Yeah.
We have a baseball player named Ty Comer, and he's been running the baseball coaches show, and it's been a good experience for him, and this might be something to be good for you as well, so we can talk about that next year.
Yeah, I need to learn how to talk on camera.
And that's why we have you on here. Nate, let's talk a little bit about the team highlights. I mean, you got to be pleased. So many firsts this year for you. Had a first place at the Builder Invitational second year in a row. First place at the Southeast Wrestling Conference Tournament second year in a row. First place at the East Regionals, a first time for you. Second place at the Pete Wilson Invitational, one of probably the toughest wrestling tournaments in the country.
Right.
And then, you guys finished with a 13-6 record, another school record for wins. Talk a little bit about all these firsts that have been happening for you guys.
It's nice. It's nice. It's just another step in the process of growing the program and being where we want to be, which I talk about all the time, and I know most of the guys on the team believe it. Their goal is to win a national title as a team. So I think obviously we're eyeing 2019. It's going to be in Roanoke, so for us, that's what we're eyeing to win it, and it's obviously going to take a lot more work and a lot more firsts. Winning the Pete Wilson and East Regional, going in, not being in the underdog, knowing that we're going to win it, and that way we get 7 or 8 guys in nationals. That's kind of the next process, and we're getting there. So I'm very pleased. Obviously, hard not to be, but I'm ready to look forward, not back, and I know the guys are as well too. Everybody needs to step up when we're not. Zach needs to go from second to first. Other guys need to go from taking fourth at regionals to second and first, and
on into the NCAA tournament and everything.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Real exciting news. April 18th. We've been waiting for almost, it seems like about 6 months now. We've been waiting the decision to announce the NCAA venues for the next 4-year cycle, 2018 through, I guess it was 2019 through 2022.
Right.
And they were going to announce it back in, I guess it was October, but then
pushed it off because
everything was pushed back because of North Carolina bathroom laws and everything.
Right.
And they finally made the announcement on April 18th, and I started getting text messages from people on the NCAA committee saying, you got it, you're good to go, found it on the NCAA website, and then got a couple of emails from the NCAA. Just real exciting. It's got to be thrilling for you and your team to be, Zach, for you as a wrestler, what do you think about being able to wrestle for a national championship 35 miles from your campus?
That's great. I don't like to lose at home either. So.
Well, you didn't do that at all this year, did you?
I only had one home match though.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll get to show that next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely exciting. It'll be a great environment too for other guys too. Just knowing that everybody's going to be there supporting each other and cheering each other on as well. I know that was one thing that kind of stunk about it being in lacrosse. Is we had people like Mr. Steele and calling him up in the bus and everything, but in Roanoke, there's no reason that everybody shouldn't be there.
All the local high schools, we'll be speaking with all the high schools.
Right,
there'll be a throng of Ferrum fans there. I went up yesterday and toured the facility. They've done a lot of changes at the Berglund Center. The lower bowl seats have all been redone. Beautiful chair backs, padded seats, paint job on the whole place.
It's going to be great arena for it.
Oh, it really is. I'm just so excited about it. We walked through all the different locker rooms and meeting rooms and everything, and they've put in a new meeting area that's going to function as our hospitality room downstairs. theirs, and just so many great things
first
about
class.
that.
Yep, first class.
And
We've got a great organization to run it too. The Roanoke
yeah.
Valley Wrestling Association. Going to help out, obviously, and I'm sure. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be awesome. We had the regionals there a couple years ago, and it obviously was a great environment for it. And, no, it's going to be great. I mean, I think one thing too is when you're winning, when you have success, it's easier to build a fan base. And I think just at regionals last year, how many people were there? Not even on the team, but got parents of kids that aren't even wrestling at the regionals were there.
Right.
And so I think that that and continue to build. I guess our product, I think is huge in growing that fan base. That's one thing I'm going to really focus on next fall is really making sure we get 1,000 people a match here at home and continue to build that fan base. So everybody wants to be a part of something, a winning team. So.
Right. Well, I'll tell you right now, it was an exciting venue at the we had it at a high school, Franklin County High School, local. But we basically held a regional championship right here in the county that our school is in. And now in 2 years, we're going to hold a national championship.
Yep.
And I'm going to have to touch base with the NCAA, but I don't know if there've been very many national wrestling championships contested in the state of Virginia, if ever.
Probably ever. Yeah.
I mean, Virginia Tech. I doubt Virginia Tech has hosted one, or Virginia, or Old Dominion, and we might very well. Of course, Division III wrestling has been non-existent until.
Right.
Washington and Lee had a program going and everything. Sydney for a while there. Now
even Division I and II, I know I have never held there. And Chapel Hill, I think, is one of the closest locations that ever held Division I's. Back in the '80s. So
sure.
It'll be a great environment. For sure.
I know a lot of people have weighed in on it. They're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Nate, I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about your senior class. You lost Robert Cunningham, 133 pounds, a couple times made it right to the brink of getting into the NCAA tournament. Justin Zimmerman, 141. Logan Meister has been to the NCAA tournament 3 times now, your first ever All-American. Zach, of course, was the second one. And Tate Delaney, right on the cusp of going to the NCAA tournament alone. Talk a little bit about those guys and what they've meant to your program.
They were the really first guys, and I guess that started all 4 years. I think all 4 of those guys started, and they obviously they were responsible for the culture of the program, and obviously had a lot of success. I mean, there's about 300 wins among all those guys in their 4 years here. So they're gonna be hard to replace, and we're gonna really miss them, and not just as wrestlers but as people too.
Sure.
I really enjoyed being around all 4 of those guys. They all brought something different to the table, and obviously being a first-time head coach when I came here, having that be my first class, obviously there's a bond there for sure, and I'm going to miss those guys, but they're all going on to bigger and better things in life, and I couldn't be more proud of the people they turned out to be. So
I understand Robert's taken a teaching position
Right.
or some type of position at a school
Patrick Henry,
in Patrick County.
Patrick County, I'm sorry.
And he's also going to be working with the wrestling team.
Yep.
Justin is going on to graduate school,
Absolutely.
I think Bridgewater College.
Bridgewater,
I heard.
yep.
Logan Meister, he's going to be sticking around this area. He's going to be helping you
Possibly,
next year.
Yep.
Okay, and then Tate's going out to be a cowboy.
Right. Yeah, Cowboys. That guy
Cowboy
in Denver,
Ranch.
near Colorado Springs, Colorado. So yeah, they're all lined up. They're all ready to go. So most of them had their jobs and set up before they even graduated. Which obviously graduation is a couple weeks away. But so those guys are on the ball, and I think they're a great example too. What happens when you buy into a program, because none of those 4 guys were that heralded coming out of high school. And heck, I think Tate said at the banquet he never even qualified for the Virginia State tournament. And to win as many matches he did, and been a part of so many dual meet wins where he was on the line and he won it.
Sure.
And it's just all those guys have really really developed into great wrestlers, great people. So
I was at the Virginia Duels a couple of years ago. We beat Liberty in the first round on the strength of a pin by Tate, and that pin gave us 7 points basically because it was a tiebreaker that allowed us to get past Liberty and everything.
Right.
And then the next day we came back and got another pin to put us over the top again. So, I mean, 2 tie-break matches with 18-18 and 21-21.
Right.
Tate's matches was the one that broke it for us. And
Absolutely.
So those were very big wins.
That was just 2. I mean, I can at least think of 4 or 5 other times you won it for us. So
Sure.
But yeah, all those guys have been missed. Obviously, Logan, being an All-American, a 2-time academic All-American, and just won the President's Cup, which is obviously a huge deal. And Robert, obviously, the circumstances he's overcome to be successful, is a great example for anybody that comes here and wants to complain about,
Might be your best win. Might be your best win story with graduating. When you see him walk across that podium next Saturday, might be the best success we've had with a kid from where he's come to where he's at now.
Yep. And then obviously Justin, it's just I always kid would joke around with him. He's gonna be our biggest donor one day. He's gonna be really successful.
Probably will be. It'll be Dr. Zimmerman.
That's right, Dr. Zimmerman.
So, well, Nate, talk a little bit about your recruiting update. Not specific names, but how things going so far. Looking forward to next year.
Good.
You feel like you're going to be able to fill the right weight classes in?
Yeah, we got somebody here right now. Actually, that's going to hopefully help us out. So, no, we have we're all some really good guys. In Division III, usually kids don't sign until late. So, sure. But I think we're down to the final 2 as far as us and another school with about 7 or 8 different kids. And,
okay.
Obviously, with losing some seniors and some guys moving up, and we got some holes to fill. So I think it's next year we could have 2, 3 freshmen in the lineup, which is exciting. It means you're growing as a program.
Sure.
Every year you're up the ante with recruiting.
Right.
Recruiting
over the top.
That's right. You got to. So.
Gotcha. How about next year's schedule? I know that you and I were talking earlier. You said that the Star City Open is grown. Still going to be up at the Hotel Roanoke?
Well, I think we're going to outgrow that, actually. I think we're, in fact, I'm reaching out to the guy at Salem Civic Center.
Okay.
And obviously it'll come down to dollars and cents. But I think we got 14 teams committed for next year.
Wow.
And we're working on another one, Wisconsin lacrosse, getting them down here. And then we have Wabash from Indiana coming down. They finished 3rd in the country this year.
A couple heavy hitters.
Yep. Stevens, who finished 5th or 6th in the country, they're going to come down. So we got it's going to be an awesome tournament. It's going to be and we're having duels the night before again. That will be in the ballroom of the Hotel Roanoke. Okay. And the other one will be
at the Civic Center?
At the Civic Center, or wherever location we find it. So,
sure. Sure. Well, Kerry Harvey Cutter over at the Salem Civic Center is a great guy, and I know if he can work with you, he'll do it.
Absolutely. So we're excited.
Wrestling camps, you're starting to get those things on track for the year?
Yep. Obviously, with recruiting winding down, we can turn our attention to camps, build that up, and and it's looking like it's going to be the best year we ever had with camps numbers wise. We got 5 or 6 teams committed already to come to the Gold Camp, but I think got another 4 or 5 on the line. That I think we'll get here as well too. So
I'm hearing a lot of good news about your camps and everything.
Ohio, South Carolina, we got teams from all over, so it's good.
Yep. Turn our attention back to 2019. Probably one of the biggest pieces of news that we've had here in a long time. Ferrum has never hosted a national championship tournament in any sport. We've hosted a couple of. We've been in a couple national championship games in football back when we were at junior college, but to host a national championship, what does that mean to your program?
That's huge, and obviously it's the guys on the team too. Because obviously if we had a bunch of turds on the team, we wouldn't try to host the national tournament. But I think by 2019, again, just look at the sophomore class we have. They're going to be juniors next year, and obviously that was the majority of our starters
Very
last
strong.
year.
Yep.
There'll be seniors then. You got guys like Zach in there, some recruits, and Austin Smith. And I think again, 2019, when I sat down and figured out my 3, 5, 7 year plan when I took this job was. In 7 years, I want to be competing for a national title, and that'll be right at the 7-year mark. So,
okay.
And so I think we'll be right there. So
yep.
next
that will
year
be
we
the 6th-year mark. Actually, we're in our 4th year right now.
Well, yeah, I meant but we did that club.
We
year,
had the club
so,
team. Yep.
Yeah,
So good. Well, we're real excited and everything. Everybody in the athletic department's real excited, and we're going to pull out all the stops for that one and try to make it as good an experience as we can for you, Zach, and for all the Ferrum guys, and not just for them, but for all the wrestlers.
Hopefully Zach qualifies.
I was going to say for 10 national champions.
Well, Zach, thank you for coming on the show. Hope you have a great summer. We're real excited about having you back here next year and everything, and seeing what you're going to do in the future.
I'm ready for it to be November.
Good. Well, Nate, I want to thank you as well. This is the end of our 5th year of doing Ferrum Wrestling 411. We want to thank all our fans. We've got a lot of people who've sent in comments or seen us at tournaments and mentioned that they enjoy the show, and we're really glad to have you with us. And I want to thank you for your time and effort in doing this show.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Gary.
Yep. Well, folks, we'll come back sometime in June. I suspect we'll probably do another summer episode and everything. And until then, I'm Gary Holden for Zack Beckner and Nate Yetzer. Thanks again for being with us on Ferrum Wrestling 411, and have a great weekend.